Crypto has moved higher and the majority is going bullish. And during this time, this is what you're observing on the on-chain data. That is actually confusing. If you look at it on one way, Ether flows to fiat exchanges. Those who are moving out of Ether is like 97% up. Now that really is confusing because you also see that 600 million shorts liquidated as Bitcoin moves higher. So you go back here, you have a lot of confusion. Now you're trying to look at Bitcoin instead of Ether, and it actually shows you like, okay, compared to Ether, Bitcoin is not flowing more into fiat exchanges. It's just 2% up compared to the last day. And if you are looking at that total volume compared to what Ether was showing you, now you'll have a lot of questions. You may look at the market and different assets and see like, okay, we broke to the downside. We bounced. Yes, we bounced. But we are at a huge resistance level, which is previous support zone and a trend line resistance. So yes, some of these assets are actually showing you we bounced, but we need to break this range to ensure that, yeah, bulls are active and they are in control. But right now, for some of these assets, we need further movement in the market to make sure the bulls are in control. Not all assets are same. We see Bitcoin moving like this. We broke higher. We may need a retest and bounce, but we also have to understand that the market can move in different ways. This is your previous support. That was respected once you broke to the downside and now you're breaking back up. Fine, that's good, that's great. In a way, if you are looking for the swing high, you need to see Bitcoin breaking above 21,300. At that point, you can actually argue that now, yeah, we are making consistent higher highs and we want to search for a higher low. That is going to be the case. Now, at this time when we are looking at the altcoin market, yes, we do understand we are breaking higher. Ether at the time is showing us we are breaking higher. We have a higher highs to go and the measured move is all the way up to 2,500. But then we come back to the on-chain data for Ether and we are asking the same question like, okay, right now, Ether actually shows us like there's a lot of people moving into fiat exchanges. They are taking profits. Now that's actually a confusing thing if you are in the market right now because that's how the market actually works. Imagine there are people who give different opinions. Some like this actually give you fundamental opinions, which actually is well informed, and when you're following that, it gives you certain opportunities. And there are individuals like this, the politicians, the bureaucrats, they kind of confuses you. They don't actually give you the right opinion. And then we see a lot of things like this, right? Some can be right, some can be wrong. But when you have a massive following and you do things like this at a time when the market just goes the opposite direction, those who follow you get hurt, right? Now, yes, that's true. And you're coming back into the market and you're looking at the fiat. Here it's stablecoin USDT. You're like, okay, the total movement is 15% up, but still the amount of money moving into the fiat exchange is down 45%. So anyone who took profit when the market was going up has already moved out. Now what you're observing is a little bit of increase in the money moving into crypto exchange to buy. But this is not a huge increase, but still $2 billion a day moving into crypto exchange to buy more tokens is not bearish. $3 billion movement a day and still increasing is actually bullish. But not every asset has the same outlook. And then we come on to the XRP. We are looking at XRP. We had a breakout. We moved above the 200-day moving average on a daily. That's all bullish. But what's the short-term outlook? and what are our targets. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10%. Now, as we discussed, we saw that the probability for the altcoins to run up is higher. And right now, when we are looking at the altcoin market, we do see that yes, they actually went up, they ran higher. Now, at the same time, you're looking at the strength index and you're like, okay, that broke higher. We may actually come back down to retest that and bounce, which is again super bullish. Now, the narrative will actually change when you get the same on a macro chart. Right now, you're breaking to the upside on a 3-day chart here, and you see the strength is slowly increasing. We really want to actually see this range break to the upside. Because when we are traveling to the downside and doing this consolidation, we are range bound. So if we break to the upside, that actually shows you buyers are now in control and they are leading the market. RSI does suggest us that the buyers are in control, they are leading the market, but we need a confirmation from the side of the price, right? We have major resistance as we run up here, but from where we are right now, that still is a good run up, 68%, which means most of the coins which you're going to look at in the market is going to run another 100 to 200%. We have seen a lot of these coins running higher like that. When you are in the return rates and you are looking for last 30 days, you're like, a lot of these coins have already done above 50%, which is not bad, because if you are here in this market and you're looking at all this, you're like, okay, this does look crazy. There's a lot of coins doing above 50% for last 30 days, up to even 300, right? Now we get to see like, okay, a lot of these are actually running up on the short term and they're still massively down on the long term. Now that's confusing. But if you go into one of them, say you pick this one, Ocean, it's like 68% up on 30 days, 70% up on this quarter, still 70% lower. So you go on the charts and you really want to actually understand whether that's a good buy or not. Right now it actually shows you it's breaking higher on a long-term trend pattern. Now what you really would like to do as a trend guy is like you want to make sure the trend is changing. Yes, this resistance trend line broke higher, but being a macro guy, you'll always look for resistance level which have enough strength. Now, this is one of them. Once you see this level break, that will give you a confirmation of yes, the pattern is a falling wedge which broke to the upside. Right now, we are respecting this level of resistance. If we break this level, things really change. Now you get to see there's a lot of bullish actions in the market, right? So once you are in the market and you are trying to see trend lines and patterns which we respected before, now we know that when the price comes back up, we have higher odds that we are going to respect this range. So yes, the price is going to run back up and we are going to test these levels. But at the same time, look at the RSI. It's actually clearly suggesting you that we broke higher. We are moving to the upside on the strength side of it. So this can be a massive opportunity in one way or the other. And then when you are looking at it based on the pattern, you see a rounded bottom, which is right now trying to break to the upside. So you get to see reversal signals, but to get a confirmation, being a conservative individual, you will look for these levels to break. Now we come back in the XRP chart and you're like, okay, this is a short-term chart for XRP. We broke to the upside. Now we are coming back and we should actually come back first towards 0.38, which is, close to the current price, and then to the 200-day moving average on a 4-hour chart or a 12-hour chart. So on a 4-hour chart, that's 0.355, and on a 12-hour chart, that's a resistance. So if we need to continue this bullish momentum, we need to actually bounce on a 4-hour chart. from the 200-day moving average. That should act as a support. Like last time we tried that to become that's a support, but the narrative did not actually sit down. Instead, we broke to the downside, came back to the previous support and then bounced. So whatever the narrative here is, we actually can clearly see the pattern still is relevant. Last time you had this pattern which was valid, a rounded bottom. Right now in the market, you still have similar pattern which is valid. Now we are trying to break to the upside and the price is actually showing you there's a lot of volatility, but I'm trying to go to the upside. Now look at the RSI, it's showing you there is a trend in the RSI on a short term. Once we break that, we see a correction coming in. Now that correction here is just short term because you do not actually get months of bullishness. What you actually got in the market is a couple of days of real bullish action. Rest is just noise. So for the part of XRP, we do understand that yes, on a daily, the price came above 200-day moving average. Right now, we are trying to settle above that. But if you break below that, now we are looking for the 50-day moving average or the 21-day moving average. So you have downside. But if the daily actually gets to close above the 200-day moving average, now that is really bullish. Now you need to get a continuation tomorrow because the market can be volatile. What we observe here on the Ether side is concerning, showing people are moving a lot of Ether in the fiat exchange. Mostly that's to cash out. So either these are the wrong guys, we can think like that, or there is something happening with Ether in this market. So yes, in this market you will see a lot of tokens which actually run up, but after that someone do take profit. That is the only logical sense where we can actually argue that okay, this particular token has actually went up. A lot of people are taking profit. If you look at what we've been through, a 30% run up is now pushing a lot of people to take profit. Now in 3 months time, in 6 months time, we will revisit all these targets. But right now, after going through such a trend and a consolidation for last 6 months, when you get a run up of 30%, people are taking profit and moving out. That is how a market moves. But one thing we all have to understand is when we are putting in consistent lower highs and lower low, and literally the market was completely in a depression and your emotions are really low, right now the market is starting to make a higher high. So if we get one more that's consistent higher highs and higher lows, that's great. That signals you there is something changing in the market. We are breaking through different levels of resistance. Now the measured move here is close towards 2500, but the major resistance for Ether actually comes in close to 1700. Now that can be one of the reasons why people are taking profits here, because they imagine that this level will not break. Now we don't know what's going to happen, but what we are relying on right now is the RSI, which actually suggests us that that level can actually break. That level is not strong enough to hold the buying momentum which is coming into the market. That's what the RSI is suggesting us on a 3-day chart. Now we go back on a weekly chart and the RSI is okay, I actually told you this before, I'm breaking higher, right? We got that indication here, we are moving up. So a weekly breaking like this after this long consolidation, which is 700 days of consolidation, it does actually make sense to argue that, okay, if you really saw 700 days, price was respecting one level, that's 2 years, right? Price was respecting one level and right now it's breaking through that. Now there is something serious happening in the market. Something is changing in the market. Either the sellers are getting exhausted or the buyers are overweighing the sellers right now at this point. So while we are looking at all this, we do understand there is a lot of opportunities. We do see there is a lot of breakouts happening every now and then, but we are also hitting the targets. So if you are here trading, understand that when your targets are being hit, people do take profit. You see that in the market, right? Now it's not only one asset, there is a lot of different assets inside this market which is actually really doing this. They're breaking higher, you have your targets, you have your measured moves, and just before your measured move or at the measured move, you see the price slow down. You see some people take profit. Now it depends on whether you are a long-term trader or a short-term guy, because when you are watching that the market is doing something like this, a reversal pattern signaling that something is changing, now you really don't want to miss next 3 to 6 months of run up. Take all this out, no pattern, no nothing. You're only looking at the price action, and on a 21-day moving average level on a weekly chart, you observe that, okay, we are moving to the upside, which is actually significant. Because last time when you actually got this, after a long-term downside, was here, March 2019. And what happened is you went up further. That's something we all can anticipate, because this actually goes all the way back in the other side too. You go up a long way, then you cross the 21-day moving average, here it's to the downside, and then you got the continuation to the downside. Before that, you were traveling to the downside, you got the first break of 21-day moving average, a confirmation, a close of that week, then you went back up. Now, what will be important here is the following week. If we are getting rejected back in next couple of weeks, that means this is just a fake out. If not, now we have higher certainty that we are going to continue higher. We are most likely going to do the next wave structure. So here on Bitcoin side of this, it is really comparatively easy to say that we did wave one. We can agree on that point. Now the 200-day moving average on a 3-day chart is here at $35,000. Price was here at 15,000. That was a point where we talked like, okay, this is massively undervalued, 54% below the 200-day moving average. If you remember, we actually had charts where we were discussing this, saying like, okay, look at this. Each time when you see this level of price deviation with the 200-day moving average, that was the bottom, or at least you saw that the price run back up. You see a next big run coming up there, right? Now you're seeing that happening in the price action. So this is Bitcoin on a long-term trend basis, and you actually see this happening in front of you. So if you're a conservative guy trying to connect these and you're like, okay, now there is a massive chance we are testing this resistance. As we break that, now we are going to test 35. But yeah, we have big resistance at 30, agreed, but you're a conservative guy. If you are a normal guy, you're actually trying to connect the most connections or the touches in the line, and you're like, okay, this kind of shows me we had a try here that faked out, but now we are breaking to the upside after a long period of time. This gives more advantage in a way if you are looking at the market saying like, okay, we did wave one, we went up, we corrected lower, then we went up, did wave two. Now we have completed the correction and we are going for wave three. Let that be 95,000, let that be 100,000. Different people have different targets, but you kind of get the idea. Now, some has a target for 10,000. That's a little bit higher to the downside because the market has already been this undervalued, right? Historically speaking, when you are going to the downside, you actually see this, right? 54%, that's it. From the 200-day moving average, and that's done. Now, when you're using a 3-day chart, that's important because when you move on a daily chart, you will see something different. When you move on a weekly chart, you will see something different. Now, you can always select what you like, but you really don't actually have a history where Bitcoin is actually down like this. So last time it was 31% below the moving average. Here we are 35. So even on the weekly side, you kind of have an idea that, okay, maybe we have actually done that. But on the weekly, what you really want to actually see is that the price breaking through 25,000. And once that's done, on a monthly, you will argue that this was just a fake out. On a monthly, you're coming back up to 35,000 because on a monthly, clearly your measured move on that weekly one, which hits that 35,000, is your resistance. We usually respect these key levels on a macro time frame. So if Bitcoin is about to do this, now go look at XRP on a monthly and ask yourself like, okay, what do you see here? Short term, yes, there is a corrective possibility coming in. Long term, the MACD is closing here on a monthly, which usually signals the bottom. Now we are waiting for a bounce. This month still has 15 days to go, and we want to really see like, okay, continuation candle here. Moving back above $0.5. Why is that? This 0.5 has been acting as a previous resistance, which turned into a support. Right now, when we come back up, that should be our resistance, right? So once we break that level, great. Everything is kind of getting confirmed. This is now a little bit early, but we do understand once we break that level, we will get initial confirmation here as soon as we break 0.43, 0.44, but the macro confirmation will come about 0.65. Once you are getting confirmed, now, yeah, we all know what we talked about here. The actual exits, that should be in your mind because people will take profits. Some do that on the short term, some do that for the medium to long run. It depends on what type of investor you are. But whatever you are looking at, understand there will be a correction in the alt dominance when you actually observe the Bitcoin dominance going up. But historically, you don't see Bitcoin dominance trending higher. Macro trend is that the Bitcoin dominance go lower. Let it be on a weekly, monthly, you actually get the same idea here. That means when this is going to come back up this time around, it's going to get rejected and you're going to go lower. And that's when you see massive run in the altcoin market. So when you have the price details here, this is history, agreed. But you can also go look at all these new information which is available in the market to take well-informed decision. And if you are like, okay, I want to dig more deep, then you can actually look at these charts. These are actually clearly showing you breakouts, targets for different assets in the market as we hit our targets in different assets. So if you are interested in this level of details on different charts, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. That's it for today, guys. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.